Let's find out the value of sine 18 degree. So here what we'll do, we'll first assume that theta, let it be equals to 18 degrees. Now we're going to multiply both sides with 5. So 5 times theta gives us 5 theta, and 5 times 18 degrees, so that will be 90 degrees. Now we're going to split 5 theta into two parts. One will be 2 theta and the other will be 3 theta. So that will be equals to 90 degree. Now we're going to transpose 3 theta to the right hand side. So we get 90 degree minus 3 theta. Now we will be taking the sine on both sides. So we have sine of 2 theta that will be equivalent to sine of the angle 90 degree minus 3 theta. Now we know what's 90 degree minus 3 theta. So that's going to be equals to cosine of 3 theta. So we have sine of 2 theta equals to cosine of 3 theta. Now we have standard formula for sine 2 theta as well as cosine 3 theta. Let's note it down. So formula that we'll be using here is sine 2 theta. This will be 2 times the product of sine theta and cosine theta. And we have cosine of 3 theta. Cosine of 3 theta is given by 4 times cosine cubed theta minus 3 times cosine of angle theta. We'll substitute these values here. So in place of sine 2 theta, we have 2 times sine of angle theta times cosine of angle theta. This will be equals to 4 times cosine cubed theta minus 3 times cosine theta. Now let's write all the terms together to get 4 times cosine cubed theta minus 2 times sine theta times cosine theta. And we have negative 3 cosine theta, and this will be equals to 0. Now what we'll do, we will take cosine of theta as a common factor. So cosine of theta gets multiplied to 4 times cosine squared theta minus 2 times sine theta minus 3 equals to 0. So we get two equations. One cosine theta will be 0 and the other one 4 cosine squared theta minus 2 sine theta minus 3 equals to 0. We'll be using only 4 cosine squared theta minus 2 times sine theta minus 3 equals to 0. Now we'll not be using the other equation cosine of theta equals to 0. The reasoning behind this is if we take cosine of theta equals to 0, that means theta is 90 degree. And we have already chosen theta to be 18 degree and not 90 degree. So the only possibility is that 4 times cosine squared theta minus 2 sine theta minus 3 equals to 0. This part of the equation. And now what we'll do, we'll replace this value of sine squared theta with 1 minus sine squared theta minus 2 times sine of angle theta minus 3 equals to 0. What we're trying to do is we're trying to convert all the terms to sine. So now we have 4 minus 4 times sine squared theta minus 2 times sine of angle theta minus 3 equals to 0. So we get negative 4 sine squared theta minus 2 sine theta, and 4 minus 3, that will be positive 1. Let's multiply throughout by negative 1 to get from 4 times sine squared theta plus 2 times sine of angle theta minus 1 equals to 0. So what we get here is a quadratic equation in sine theta. So you can use the standard formula to find out the value of sine theta. So sine theta is going to be equals to, so we take negative of the coefficient of sine theta, that's 2. We get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of, now we'll take the coefficient of sine theta, that's 2, square it, and from it subtract negative 4 times the coefficient of sine squared theta, which is 4, times the constant term, that's negative 1, divided by 2 times the coefficient of sine squared theta, so that's 4. So this will be equals to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of, so 2 square will be 4. Now negative 4 times 4, that's negative 16, and negative 16 times negative 1 will be positive 16. So we get 16 plus 4, that's going to be equals to 20. Divided by 2 times 4, so that's 8. Now we can simplify square root of 20 to get 2 times square root of 5, whole divided by 8. So that gives us the value of sine theta as negative 1 plus or minus square root of 5 divided by 4. So this is the value of sine theta. Now theta is actually 18 degrees, so that means we have sine 18 degree. Now what is 18 degree? 18 degree is an angle that lies between 0 and pi over 2. That means it's in the first quadrant. And we know that in the first quadrant, the sine value is always positive. So here we'll only consider square root of 5 minus 1 over 4. Because if we choose -1 minus square root of 5 whole divided by 4, we're going to get a negative value, and that's not possible. So we're only going to consider the positive value to get square root of 5 minus 1 over 4. And this is going to be the value of sine 18 degree. Okay, very important result. Now that we have the value of sine 18 degree, we can immediately find out the value of cosine 18 degree as well. So cosine 18 degree is going to be, so we'll take plus or minus the square root of 1 minus sine squared 18 degree. Now 18 degree, still it's going to lie in the first quadrant, so cosine is also going to be a positive value. So we'll take positive the square root of 1 minus sine square 18. So that means we have square root of 5 minus 1 over 4 whole square. So this will be equals to the square root of 1 minus. So let's open it up. So square root of 5 minus 1. So that's going to be 6 minus 2 times square root of 5 divided by 16. Combining, we get the square root of 10 plus 2 times square root of 5 divided by 16. And we can factor out 2 from the numerator and the denominator to get 5 plus square root of 5 over 8. And this is going to be the value of cosine 18 degree. And if we have sine 18 degree, we can also find out the value of, so here we can write 18 degree. Instead of using 18 degree, we can write 90 minus 72 degree. And what's 90 minus 72? Sine of that angle is going to be cosine of 72 degree. Now since this is 18 degree, sine 18 degree, and it has a value equals to square root of 5 minus 1 over 4. So it turns out cosine of 72 degree, that's also going to be square root of 5 minus 1 over 4. So using the same logic, here we can say that this will be equivalent to sine 72 degrees. So here we have obtained the value of 4 trig ratios. So sine 18 degree, cosine 72 degree, cosine 18 degree, and sine 72 degrees. And now that we have the value of cosine 18 degree, we can find out the value of cosine 36 degree as well. Let's try to find out the value of cosine of angle 36 degrees. So cosine of 36 degree can be also expressed as cosine of 2 times the angle 18 degree. Now here we can use the formula. So whenever we have cosine of 2 theta, this becomes equivalent to 2 times cosine squared theta minus 1. Which means in our case we get 2 times cosine squared 18 degree minus 1. Now we have the value of cosine 18 degree. So we have 2 times the square root of 5 plus square root of 5 over 8. We're going to square this value and from it subtract 1. So this will be equals to 2 times 5 plus square root of 5 whole divided by 8 minus 1. So that gives us 5 plus square root of 5 divided by 4 minus 1. And we should get square root of 5 plus 1 divided by 4. This is going to be the value of cosine 36 degree. Now if we know the value of cosine 36 degree, this will be equivalent to sine 54 degree as well. Now we have the value of cosine 36 degree. We can find out the value of sine 36 degree easily. So sine 36 degree will be the square root of 1 minus cosine squared 36 degree. So let's substitute it here. So we have square root of 1 minus, so we will have square root of 5 plus 1 divided by 4 whole squared. And when we solve this value, we're going to get 5 minus square root of 5 divided by 8. So that's going to be the value of cosine sine 36 degree. There is one more way. If to find out the value of sine 36 degree, we can rewrite it as sine of 2 times 18 degree, which will be equals to 2 times sine of 18 degree and cosine of 18 degree. So we substitute the value of sine 18 degree as well as cosine of 80 degree, multiply it with 2, and this should give us the same result. And sine 36 degree, this value will be also equivalent to cosine of 54 degree.